But we recognize that the energy transition is upon us. It's not the first time the world has gone through an energy transition. It's happened many times before. But this is going to be significant. It's going to be significant for our company. And so we went out into the world and began to look for thought leaders.
Welcome to an episode of Strategic Conversations. We host insightful discussions with top business leaders. Today, we are hosting Mr. Paul Doucette, the Energy Transition Executive and General Manager for Baker Hughes. He is also the Global Policy and Stakeholder Engagement Leader for Baker Hughes. Mr. Doucette served in the United States Air Force as part of the Strategic Air Command. We thank him very much for his service to the nation. We will be hosting Mr. Doucette at the Houston Strategy Forum's upcoming Energy Transition Symposium, which will be held on September 29th. We are looking forward to hosting him at the symposium. I am Ravi, the president of the Houston Strategy Forum and author of the book, How Cohesive is Your Company? And author of the book, Happy Soul, Hungry Mind. Strategic Conversations is hosted by the Houston Strategy Forum. And if you enjoy these conversations, please hit like and subscribe to the Houston Strategy Forum's YouTube channel. Today's episode is sponsored by Cohegic, my management consulting and executive coaching firm. Thank you all for joining us today. And we're looking forward to a great, insightful discussion with Mr. Paul Doucette. Sir, thank you for taking the time. We thank you for joining us today and looking forward to hosting you on September 29th. And I also want to thank you for the service to the country that you have done, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ravi. I'm delighted to be here and I look forward to the conversation.
Very good, sir. Very good. So, sir, would you share with us, I read just briefly your role. Would you share with us more about your role at Baker Hughes? What are you trying to make happen? And what is, in general, Baker Hughes trying to make happen vis-a-vis your focus?
So I'll start by saying that years ago, 4 or 5, we're a $21 billion startup. In that, as we exist today, right, we're a combination of the 100-year legacy of GE and GE Oil and Gas and the 100-year legacy of Baker Hughes as an equipment and a service company. But we've only been merged in our current form for about 4 years. So we're a really big startup. But we recognize that the energy transition is upon us. It's not the first time the world has gone through an energy transition. It's happened many times before. But this is going to be significant. It's going to be significant for our company. And so we went out into the world and began to look for thought leaders, governments, non-governmental organizations, customers, think tanks, a variety of people who were thinking about the future of energy and capturing their insights and bringing them back into the company to help us chart a future for our companies, for our employees, and for our shareholders. So, you know, if coal was the fossil fuel of the early century, last century, and oil is kind of the fossil fuel of the last part of the last century and the first part of the next, what's next, right? How do we think about that? And so we captured insights and we shared those across the platform of the organization to help develop a strategy. So that's stakeholder engagement. That's how we engage with external stakeholders. Funding is simple, right? The government helps to de-risk the technologies that they want to establish. So if the government is interested in hydrogen, and there are some technology problems associated with a hydrogen economy, then the government will de-risk investments into those hydrogen technologies. We make some of those technologies, so we go after government funding from the US DOE or ARPA-E or the European Union or the Australian government, and we collaborate with those governments on the development of this advanced technology that will meet both our needs and the needs of the government agencies in question. So that's the funding piece.
Yes.
And then the other piece is kind of the one that's most near and dear to my heart because I grew up out of a policy arena. I'm fond of saying that government policy can create or destroy a market for our technologies and for our products. And so the team that I work with in the policy arena helps to decide what Baker Hughes thinks or believes about a particular policy issue.
Okay.
For example, lots of conversation about methane right now,
Yes.
right, in the oil and gas industry. The question is for the EPA is whether or not methane is a pollutant and therefore can be regulated by the Clean Air Act. Baker Hughes analyzed that whole situation, looked at all of the data that's associated with it, and we decided that we believe that methane is a pollutant, is a cause of climate change, and therefore we should work to develop technologies that will reduce methane emissions and support the reasonable, cost-effective regulation of methane as a pollutant. So that's a team that does the research to help the company decide what it thinks.
Okay. All right. Very good. I understand the three areas of focus: the stakeholders, right, and then the technology adoption, technology, and then the policy aspect of it, right?